Yeah, I think I have an invite out here. Go ahead and jump on, Keeron. We'll just wait a few minutes for folks to get back on, because my screen had stuck, so I wasn't seeing myself. I wasn't seeing you. Unable to join. Hold on. All right, cool. You see me now?
Yeah,
Okay, great. How are you?
I'm good. And you, what's up?
I good, a little hungry, but I good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What you had for lunch today?
Lunch? I just had breakfast. Yeah.
It's 1 o'clock. That's not great.
On holidays and Sundays, visit breakfast late.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. It don't matter
Yeah.
what day it is. Lunch and breakfast eaten when lunch and breakfast supposed to be eaten.
Hey,
Right?
something that's all the thing is doing.
Nah. All right, cool. So, I think you can try to share the link with your folks.
Yeah, I reshared this one with a few people.
Yeah, because I think we got bumped off, and all right, cool. So we're gonna keep it lightish, right? Um, we
Oh,
know that
Keeron.
you are a man of many talents, many skills. I have discovered that you also sing. I've never actually heard you sing live, but apparently you're real good. You know,
Um,
you just want
um,
to be doing everything. That's
yeah,
crazy.
why do one thing when you could do everything?
So you sing, you're a poet, you're a writer, poet writer. I don't know if you write short stories as well, like stories.
I just haven't published any. But I published like a children's book. I don't know if that counts
Okay.
as a short story. Yeah.
Well, I guess we could start there. You're a poet, you're an author, you're an entrepreneur, um, you're a singer. What else is there to know about Kieran Isaac?
That's a good question. That's a really great question. All right, so hi everybody. Yeah, so all the things Danica just said, absolutely true. Kind of do a little bit of everything. Apart from that, I think one thing about me, apart from all these skills and talents I have, I'm an avid animal lover, and I think that is what at the core of a person, and it kind of translates back into everything. Hey, bigger picture.
Mm,
Yeah, so yeah, so but yeah, definitely an animal lover and a people person. But they definitely find their way into most of my creative works, I would say.
okay. And how would you say these
Yeah,
different
I can't start
identities?
in.
Huh?
No, more graphic artist too. And she touched on. She the only thing I can do is fly a plane and samba. Just two.
Oh, okay. Say less. What you said, like you do all of these different things, and then you you're saying and you like animals and all of that good stuff. How how do those things intersect in like your daily life, like the different roles that they play on a day-to-day basis?
Well, the thing is, I feel like I get inspiration from life itself,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like nature is quite inspiring on animals. We'll pick up Joshua. Nature and animals is quite inspiring. So I feel like it it doesn't take much for me to get inspired, if that makes sense, because
Yeah.
I'm very like nature-ish vibes. So I don't want to say a hippie, but I like nature and earthly things. So it's very easy for me to get inspired in different facets of my creativity.
Right.
Um, like I was joking with somebody, like I was having like writer's block or whatever. People say writer's block doesn't exist.
I am one of those people. I don't believe it exists. Well, okay.
Yeah, it's a controversial topic. So I was in my backyard today, and I just couldn't write for no reason. So I went out to the backyard, pull a chair, sit down with my little dogs, and I just look up at the sky and saw the clouds and literally wrote about what I saw. So I wrote a poem about the clouds. It was really good. So the clouds, they look like a kind of like a portal. So it's a poem
Right.
called Portal in the Sky. Then I was like looking back at my clothesline. People still use clothesline and thing. I know everybody fancy and bougie. So I
No,
was
I
looking at my
still use a
clothesline.
clothesline. I don't have a dryer, unfortunately.
Yes, I was looking at my clothesline. I had like a dragonfly on it.
Right.
And I wrote a poem about a dragonfly on the edge of a tightrope.
Ah,
And these are poems from like an unreleased project. It's actually a really I don't have it next to me, but when it come out, it's gonna be real bad. It was real cool. So that was just from me sitting down, just like looking around, for
mm-hmm.
like 10 minutes. So to me, that's why I say it's kind of like easy to be inspired. Inspiration is there. We just have to like take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, cool. So you have this thing. Well, it's the name of your company, of your brand, Kingdom Ibis. Where did that come from? Like, what inspired that name and for you to just create a whole brand around the Scarlet Ibis?
Yeah, so as people realize from most of my writing, I write a lot about the Scarlet Ibis. Even on my second poetry book cover, I Am the Tree, designed by Tony, big up Tony in the chat. Uh, that people started calling me like Ibis Man. I think you made a joke about that too.
Yep.
But it's actually funny, like how much people actually refer to me as the Ibis fella. And there's another author called Christine, she's a children's author, and she has like this kind of ibis mold kind of thing that she made with feathers. And every time I see her, I always joke that I will steal it. And
Mm,
she ended up making one for me, so I'd have to steal it. So thou shalt not steal. And I feel like it kind of became synonymous to me. And I
right.
always wanted to try like all these different things, like to push the book sales. And I was trying to merchandise. So I was like, why isn't there like a fan out there? Why isn't there like a bucket hat? Why isn't there all these things? So like I did. And this was like so hard to actually get done because at first it was
Yeah.
like, how do you even find how to do this in the first place? Like, where do you find a supplier? Where do you find somebody? At first, I bought like blank fonts from Amazon and was trying to get somebody to print it on it, which wasn't working. It was a
Yeah.
flop. And I just like having all these blank fonts to just give out because I had nothing to do with it. um, but it took some time, and then after some good advice from somebody, when they were following the page, they said, why not separate the merchandise from the literature?
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I thought, okay, that's good advice to Kingdom Ibis. I feel like I'm trying to build a kingdom, trying to build an
Mm-hmm.
empire, something I love. I love the Ibis. The kingdom also has that kind of royal aspect, maybe even religious connotations, the blessings that come with the kingdom. And
Mm-hmm.
also Kingdom and Ibis, K and I, that's also my initials, Q and Isaac, KI. So I felt like on
Mm-hmm.
all facets, it made sense. So even with the branding, if you see K and I, that's also Q and Isaac. So I
Right.
felt like on all facets, it made sense. And I did not want it to be a brand with just like, and I'm not bashing anybody. I don't want it to be like just t-shirts and mugs.
Right.
Um, that is awesome. All love for t-shirts and mugs with the ibis on it, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I was trying to look at like different things that people haven't necessarily done as yet, and that's what I'm trying to do with the brand.
My boy said he know about our t-shirts and mug vibe. I find that kind of disrespectful in a little way. That real disrespectful, right?
I
Because
come in peace. I come in peace.
the amount of money it probably cost to print a Kingdom Ibis fan, like the average creator, the average person trying to start a brand will have that, my boy. So I am advocating for the poverty artists out here who could only afford to print a t-shirt or you know. Yeah. I ain't like that
Yeah,
vibes at all. I don't like that
it's
vibes
just that
at all.
it's more expensive to print, and I get some quotations from some people.
Really?
It was one of those thanks for your time kind of emails. Yeah.
Nah, man. So,
Right.
we know that I know that you have 5 books published. I don't know if anybody else knows that Keeron is a 5-time author. Can you briefly run us through the different publications, maybe the names of them, and a little insight into what they're about?
Sure. So I have the first one is Poetry, which was written in the pandemic. I feel like, well, people who don't know, around the pandemic, I lost my medical school scholarship for a lot of different reasons. And my granddad passed around that time too, so I was looking for an avenue to, I don't know, heal, I guess, explore. So Poetry was a compilation I came up with, which explores the folklore, um, Caribbean, Trini linguistics, culture, rooty, all that kind of thing, or Scarlet Ibis action. Even write about some of my favorite locals, let's like give people the flowers. So I write about Savannah Grass with Kes. Um, it have like a ode to Nyla Blackman, which she was supposed to see and fall in love with me, but didn't work out. But there's always another time. Uh, and the next one is called I Am the Truth, which is a folklore collection inspired by a tribe costume by Valmiki Maharaj.
Wow.
I got the ability to actually present him a copy of the book, and he was really kind with, so that was really nice. And I got
Yeah.
to work on that one with like a lot of traditional mask characters, like Junior Bismarck, Desmoko Jambi, and all these other legends. I wanted to encapsulate their stories and preserve it. So I felt like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be morbid, but in the pandemic, everybody was dying. And I was like, I don't want to die and like not release what I want. I was like, if I die, at least I have these stories preserved. So yeah, so that's kind of like how I felt. Um, then I wrote a children's book by accident, which was Reindeer Hour. I attended a writing session, and it was underscored the importance of writing sessions to people. It's really good to have that kind of community. Um, and it was like March. I love Christmas. They were like, write about something in your room. Somebody writing about like sneakers, and I tied my lace in, and I come up there with like, I look at the reindeer and how he's a sign of joy, and everybody was like, bro, in March, like what? Uh, but it was really good, and they were like, why did you publish it? So I did, and it was a really good accident. Then that blossomed into Poinsettias for Reindeer, which is a book about a reindeer who crashed in Trinidad
Mm-mm.
and loses flight, and I only gave him a bush tea to drink to regain his flight. Um, so, but actually, I love this story so much. I feel like it could be adapted to like a film at some point, and I pin that out
Right.
there. And then my curriculum, I mean, was a coloring book with all the illustrations from the poetry book. To be very honest, I was like looking for next week to make more money without spending more money, and I already had
Right.
all the illustrations. I was like, why not make a coloring book?
Yeah.
And people were into it. So that's how I ended up with 5. I have like 10 unfinished or unreleased books. Well, actually, no, like 7 are finished, but I don't know. I try not explore the options for now. They'll come out when
Mm.
they're supposed to. But yeah, I definitely love writing.
Okay, cool. That was crazy in a matter of like about 5 years to have 5 publications. Um, what about your writing process? So you would have published the first book in 2020-ish, right? 2020, twenty
Hmm.
twenty one. What
Yeah.
was the process doing that? Did you finish write it and consult an editor? Did you approach agents or different publication houses? Like what was that process like?
Yeah, so I did all of the above. So all of the above is the final answer. I did all of the above. I At first I reached out to everybody feels like they have to go to like the mainstream publishing houses. So I did that at first.
Yeah.
And when they called the price, I was like, thank you very much. It was such a pleasure. Wish you a wonderful life. If we don't meet
Yeah.
again here, we'll meet in heaven. It was that kind of conversation. But when I realized how much how expensive it was, I really got a little discouraged. But then I started like talking to people, and I realized there's something called self-publishing, which I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
what is that? You know? And I realized I could do the whole process myself. Obviously, it's more work. because you have somebody to just, you hand them your script and they do everything. So I'm
Yeah.
like going, I'm finding the editor, illustrator. But then I realized I had all these a circle that was so
Yeah.
intertwined to these things. So like my graphics artist is actually a friend. And I messaged her and I said, hey, use this book covers. I was really excited, but she wasn't work. So she was like, hey, I'll call you back later. And I was like, all right, cool. And we ended up like coming up with this really nice cover. I got an editor, Shelly Ann Edwards, who would edit. Um, and it just went from there. I figured out I could get my ISBN on my own on this company called Printtree to print. Also, there's on
Yeah.
Amazon. You can print it cheaper. So a lot of things, it's just like a lot of research, but you had to do the work to find out how to
Yeah.
save money.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was how it ended up happening. And then, it became so natural to me. We did a course once teaching people how to publish, which was nice, was well received. We were supposed to like package it and like sell it. Maybe we'll do that eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. I don't think I have it in me, Yeah,
I feel
no.
like you could release a really good book there.
I have two finished books. I'm waiting to get published so that I don't have to go through all of that. Right? I
I
just
feel it. No, I feel it's not for everybody. It's not for
no,
that
it's
person.
my spirit will be
Yeah.
broken before that book is printed. You know?
Trust me. Yeah, trust me. I feel it. And then when you get out, it just began because now it's like the promo aspect. It's
Yeah, no. I
other
see you
people
do
don't
you
really
do
realize.
you do pretty good at the self-promotion of the book and thing. I think that you're very consistent with it.
Thank
And
you. Appreciate it.
for me, I know that I will start off hot and sweaty, and I will forget I have a book and all. At some
You
point, I
sound,
will
I
forget
have an
that.
author friend. You sound just like her. Like she posted on her. She's probably gonna watch this. I don't want to call her name, but she'll watch this. I posted on her. She posted on her page recently. I was like, hey, look who remembered I have a book now.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's tough. I think I need the help. So
Now, but
that's a
burnout
big
is
feat.
real. Yeah, burnout is real. As you said, and I
Yeah,
take some breaks sometimes because sometimes I look at my posts and I'll be like, I can tell this post wasn't well thought out. So I'm gonna
yeah,
take up. Sometimes you don't have to post just for posting sake.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like take a step back.
yeah.
See how the post come that kind of vibe. But yeah, for sure, I could relate.
No, but good job, good job. You've been very consistent where that is concerned.
Thank
What I
you.
want to know is what, in the light of all of this and all that you are, or even were up until maybe like 4 months ago, what was the real motivation behind you applying for the Amplify Connect Creative Social Enterprise Fellowship? What about it you felt aligned or called, that called you to apply at that point in time?
Yeah, for sure. I think the funny thing is, like, okay, from being an author, people don't realize that once you become an author, you release something, you also automatically, like, inevitably enter the entrepreneurial side. So
Right.
some authors don't really see themselves as that. So I'm like, yo, once you put a book, you have to think about that. So when I jumped into the marketing aspect, I realized even though some things I was naturally good at, I am the type of person where if I could learn something, I would. I'm like, and I really am a perfectionist. I always want everything to be like the best it could be.
Yeah.
So I felt like when I saw the opportunity, I was like, this is really good to grow the brand. Obviously the funding is really nice, it's really nice. But also just to be able to actually more explore the brand itself with some new avenues, some new tools, some new insights that I probably hadn't thought of before.
Yeah.
And I've already learned a lot in the short space of time that we've been in it so far.
Yeah.
In terms of like some interesting, well, I wouldn't say them as yet, but some interesting ideas that, Kevin had shared with me about, pushing the brand forward. So it's
Right.
exciting. And, yeah, just trying to like absorb, like a sponge, taking as much as possible.
Okay, but tell us, give me some key takeaways, that you've gotten from the fellowship so far, the experience. If there has been any key takeaways or shift in perspective, that you kind of taking with you moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. So like, I guess not seeing it as just a brand, but I know they don't like it with movement, but something like bigger than yourself. So like
Right.
seeing the avenue like what it could represent, like a vehicle for change, social entrepreneurship and that kind of thing. So I think so far it has really opened my eyes, and like my main goal is to spread light on the Scarlet Ibis. And then,
Yeah.
of course, through the questions from Kevin and the program, I've even realized that even though I am, there's so much more ways to do it, which honestly should have been at the top of my head, but they weren't. But it's
Yeah.
good that they now are because we grow and we evolve. So it's
Yeah.
like, taking things like spreading more light in terms of ways in which we could protect them or fund their conservation. So and all of
Yeah.
that came from actually attending the session. So it's really like eye opening. Every time I'm like, wow, write this down. Yeah.
So I guess that answers my next question, which is, I mean, also they kind of say you didn't really want to talk about it, but maybe there are ways in which you could expand a little bit more about how you see Kingdom Ibis expanding beyond what it is right
Mm-hmm.
now. You don't have to go in like details and sell out your vibes, but you could share a little bit more on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yes, I would say if my main goal is to promote awareness, I think I need to be a little more intentional in that. So there's something I actually wanted to do when I released it, but I think due to the nature, the packaging, it was something I was working on my graphic artist. I think I was doing a little too much at the time, so I was trying to like
Right.
narrow it down. But I wanted to just to like release like conservation facts about the bird, like with the item. So like you
Yeah.
buy a farm, but like when you open it, it's like a small little thing and it says like, did you know? So like
Yeah.
little things like that, I'm working on incorporating, even changing the packaging. I'm forever like trying to think of new packaging ideas. I feel like that'll probably take me a while because I always
Yeah.
like to look really good, but then of course like budget exists. So,
Yeah.
it's like you can't spend all that money on packaging and then you're not really making any profit. So
Mm,
that's always so that's always such a complex kind of tightrope walk for
right.
me. And even like what I would want, I guess I'll throw this out there. Can I show somebody watching this live could do this? What I want for my setup, I'm throwing this out there. Somebody listen, please. I want like a stand for all my products when I go to pop-up shops, but the stand shaped like a
Ibis.
mangrove.
A
Yeah. Oh, that's
mango.
good. Yeah. So
That
look
could be
like the
done.
products. Yeah.
There
So look at the
there's
products
these
actually in
packaging
the
guys
nesting.
that they kind of cut out the sides of the racks in different shapes. It might be
Hmm.
expensive though, if budget is a thing. I feel like that might be
Right.
a little expensive, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something like that would be cool. I mean, the next thing will be how I'm going to carry it around, but we go figure that out after.
It had to be
And one,
collapsible. It had to be collapsible.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But like one problem at a time.
Um, are you yourself in this new awareness of wanting to expand to kind of lean more towards advocating for conservation and um, just for us to probably maybe even treat the mangroves a little better because that's the habitat of the ibis.
Oh,
Um,
for sure. Yeah.
do you do you yourself stay abreast with like what's going on with the ibis populations here? Like, are you keeping consistently educated, or is it something that you want to start doing moving forward? Because I feel like, if at least in my opinion, but if you're the ibis man, then you should be on the fly be able to give me some random ibis facts, or give me an update of where the population of
Yeah.
ibis or the state of the mangroves during the flood. Like, all of this would be things that you should at least invest in
Yeah.
knowing, you know?
No, that's so true. That is true. And I think when I started, because I'm an animal enthusiast, I don't know if I took it for granted, but I do know that I am aware of like the basic facts. But I
Yeah.
am trying to make it more intentional of like actually getting more statistics and maybe work one on one with like the Winston and transfer it to me, get some more of those facts and actual statistics and ways in which I could help, in collaboration with them. I think that would be
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, because I think you're right. Because when you put yourself out there like this, you have to be intentional about the message that you carry and your responsibility.
Yeah.
So you kind of can't just take that for granted. You actually have to. I guess it sounds so cheesy, but like walk the walk and talk the talk. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
easiest way to say it.
And I mean, we spoke about that in the workshop we did last month, the writing workshop we did. Like, if you decide to write about a specific topic, then there are some responsibilities you adopt just
So
because you decided to write on this and you want to make sure that you're approaching the situation in the most
yeah,
intentional way possible, right?
yeah, and even from like a writing side, that takes a lot out of me. So like even especially like for spoken word, oh my god, I really just like jump out of myself. But I'm trying to be like more cognizant with that overall. Like okay, if this
Yeah.
is the vessel you choose, then you're not you anymore. You're like the vessel before it's
Yeah.
change kind of vibe. And I also want to apply that to other avenues that I tie myself to as well.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Um, Now I know you're deeply rooted in culture and nature. That's two things we know about Keeron for sure, for sure, for sure. Without you even saying that this is what you're all about, because everything that you create, you could see a little bit of that influence in your work, right? Um, and what I want to know is what values do you bring into your writing that I guess, rooted in Trinbagonian culture. Like, what does Trinbagonian culture mean to you? And how important it is to represent that in your work?
It to me it is everything. You know, I there's one of the lines in one of my poems. I think I ended it with like, and a lot of them end with this kind of thing. And it's like, this sweet bacchanal land is just make my heart sing, and that's kind of like how
Yeah,
I feel about it. It's so fascinating. Like, yeah, it's the culture, the food is the cuisine, but Trini is also just so entertaining. Oh my god, like,
correct.
gosh, so entertaining. Like on a different level. Like I didn't think they understand it. We are natural born storytellers,
Yeah,
and I think writing about it and getting to visit schools. I actually visited my alma mater, Hillsview College, and I read some of my work to one of the Form 2 classes. And
mm-hmm.
all of them said the same thing, which was the fact that they appreciated that there was pieces they could relate to as
Yeah,
Trinbagonians. And that to me is like everything.
yeah,
I tap into words how great that feel when somebody say they feel like they could connect to the writing because it's something the words they could pick up, like if you talk about chroma or like,
yeah,
oil down, pathogen, that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I think people really love being able to connect um to something that's innate to them. And even in the children's stories that I write, so like for example, Reindeer Hour is not the most Trini, but the characters, the children's characters, they look
yeah,
very Trini. That was intentional because I feel like stories, both fictional and true, I think that children need to see themselves represented.
yeah,
If somebody, can't experience a white Christmas, they need to open their open their mind to it, right? So if they could see like their self in the character,
yeah,
then they could open their mind to. So sometimes because I'm a writer now, I started tutoring like children how to write and stuff like that. So I think if they see themselves in the story, it's easy for them to connect it.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so a lot of things like that go into it.
Beautiful. Now you're a poet, spoken word poet as well. And you've been how much times you've been a finalist in Islam? Twice or three
Uh,
times?
yeah, twice, three times, well, three times competing overall, but the first
Yeah.
time was just semis, and the last two times I made it to the final. Yeah.
Okay. And what I want to know is how has spoken word poetry shaped your voice and what does it offer for you on stage versus off stage and vice versa?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely somebody told me I've gotten like outspoken since I became a spoken word artist. I don't know. I know that's a little bit of a bad thing. Based on who you ask, right? Based on who you ask. But I think it's a good thing because I kind of learned to like speak on things that I wouldn't necessarily speak on.
Yeah.
And I remember after the finals, when I spoke about that topic, people would tell me like, wow, like, it's like something that it needs to be spoken about.
Yeah.
So I guess when you put yourself in that light, you're kind of speaking on behalf of the people that you represent and the
Yeah.
diaspora. So yeah, I don't know, like to me it's, and also because I am a jovial, optimistic kind of person, it's like to talk about a serious topic is wow, it's like I don't necessarily, not that I ignore them, I just will talk about it openly in a safe, small circle. But to like talk about like politics and stuff like that openly is not me at all. But I'm trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. So then obviously I wouldn't grow and I'll regress. So I think there's like you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of grow from there. So yeah.
What's the fear that inhibits you
Um,
from like just sharing on those things?
yeah, I think because I'm not but like particularly because we just came out of an election, everything was so topical. I'm not one to really talk about politics openly. Quite frankly, I don't like it. But I mean, as a responsibility, like you're growing up, you're just living age again. Well, yeah, they like talk about these things. You need to like, you can't be silent on certain things. You need to like discuss what's happening, these things that will affect us for the next few years.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like I'm always like, if somebody that agree with that, but I wonder what happened.
They just
That's
don't
just it.
agree. If they don't
Yeah,
agree,
that's
they
just
just don't agree.
yeah. And I was like, okay, but you know what? I survive. So I think the more the more openly you talk about it, I guess the more comfortable you become. It's just
Yeah.
such a process.
Right.
Process I got to do with. Yeah, because even when the thing was airing, I was like, oh my god, I think I decided to air on TV. Yeah, but it went. So, all that's part of it.
Now you often write about, I would say, very political things. Um, I don't think politics is not just political, right? So, I mean, you have your WhatsApp piece, which speaks to politics, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then you have your Kobo piece, which leans towards, I guess, more Trinbagonian culture experiences, which a lot of your
Mm-hmm,
poems do reflect. So
mm-hmm.
tell us, how do you then decide what to write?
That's actually the hardest part, actually, because I am such a, it's funny, but it's hard to get inspiration.
Right,
Sometimes I don't want to say too much because I'm not complaining. Like, I get a lot,
right,
right? So I'm like, okay, how do I even balance all these ideas,
yeah,
right? But I think I don't know, listen, it just comes to me naturally. Like, I actually have like a list with like just ideas, 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 ideas.
yeah,
And I try to be very unique in my pieces because I was just that initially what I stayed away from slam because I wasn't sure where my voice was in slam. Because I just felt
right.
like I'm not like I mean this respectfully, I don't like shout in my pieces, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I wasn't sure like where do I fit, you know. And I think
That crazy, that crazy. But that's a conversation we're gonna have outside of this. But that's crazy.
yeah, I wasn't sure where I would fit. So I kind of overthink that thought. And I realized like, and then I realized my pieces that people always do the same thing, like the comedy, the satire, the cynicism is like
Yeah,
refreshing, which is kind of like my personality. So I try to focus on my strengths, especially
right.
being a being new to the space openly, and so I think so far it's been very validating. I would say it's been like
Right.
okay, even like finals every time I don't know every time I'm not saying this to be self-deprecating or to be like searching for nice comments or anything, but like every time somebody come up to me after a slam and like say they enjoy me, I'd be like pleasantly surprised but like humbled. If that makes sense.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm not confident in my work. I love my work. I know what I'm about. But I just don't know if people connect to it, you know. Some people say
Yeah.
that they connect to the method of storytelling.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm about. Like the time when you asked me to headline back and I'm like, you need to message the right person, man. You know, but that was
Oh, I remember.
validation. And the feedback was really good after.
Yeah.
Um, so just anything like inspiration, like without being cheesy, like just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Everything exists on the other side of you telling yourself no. You
Yeah.
know? So just like tell yourself yes, and if you crash and burn, so what,
Small thing.
we go rise.
We will rise.
Um,
Now,
yeah.
are there any platforms outside of the fellowship? Are there any communities, any platforms that you are a part of that pours into you and that inspire your art making these days?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, okay. Outside the platform. Um, hmm.
Why is that a hard
Nothing.
question? You don't know what else be doing in your free time?
I was right. Tutor, but we would come and watch Netflix. Um, maybe Netflix. I don't know, like the
Netflix
shows.
cannot be a supportive, inspiring community for art making. It
It
cannot be.
is. It is. You think I'm joking? It is. You wouldn't believe how much Netflix references I have in my Facebook.
No,
I could
man.
actually
No,
show you
man.
in theory.
Right? So that's something you have to fix that.
No, but I am a part of like where I wrote the Facebook by mistake. There's this writing community on Zoom I'm on. I don't really
Right.
go as much as I should, but it's really good. I'm trying to like do a lot more of these things. Like I'm happy you have the sessions like the one on Tuesday coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do like a lot more of those. Surround yourself with like-minded creators because I was so like so inspired in those spaces because it's like so. I could be very spontaneous at times. Like if I feed off of energy, so like
Yeah.
I'll be in a room with like creators and I feel well spontaneous. I need to like write down everything one time because when I leave the energies, I might forget.
Right.
So
Yeah.
as long as I surround myself with like-minded people, is really good for me and the brand overall.
What are some core ideas or messages do you usually want people to walk away with when they engage with your work? Or I guess is there like a running thing that people, you perform your poem and there's just things that you want people to feel at the end of your performance, or after they read your book, or after I don't know, fan yourself with one of your fans. What is that for you?
Just definitely a deep appreciation and newfound respect for culture and what we have as a nation and people.
Yeah.
Just always big up our country and we really wants to bash it, you know.
Yeah.
There's so much beauty around us. Like, of course, the obvious one is the Caribbean Sanctuary. A lot of people tell me they actually never went, which is so interesting.
I haven't
Um,
been, but for specific
yeah.
reasons.
Okay, so we'll talk about it after.
No, I telling you all, I'm afraid of snakes and I don't want a snake fall off, plaps in the water and scare me. Like that's my fear. I'm afraid snakes. I don't want to be close to them,
Nah,
And
I promise you, you'll be good. Promise
yeah,
you.
we don't know.
You
We
look like
have
you
to.
don't trust it. Yeah, but it's just like a lot. I want people to like understand that, and also the themes of like appreciation for nature, obviously, family. Sometimes I integrate that in there, and overall, I think message of like self love and self worth. I definitely always try to include. some kind of affirmations and something
Yeah,
to uplift yourself as well. I think that's really needed.
yeah,
It's really important for us to into ourselves positively. We speak into others positively, but not all the time ourselves. So
you're
we
right.
need to get better at that as well.
No, you mentioned before that you would really like to collaborate with this conservation group. So I'll even that outside of the question because you said that already. But if you could collaborate with anybody, local, global, alive, or dead, if that was an option, if we could have just raised them from the dead and get you to collaborate with them, who would you collaborate with to make
A great
something,
question.
anything?
Great question. So I actually have two dream collaborations. One of them is no longer alive. To Steve Owen. He was my
Mm-hmm.
hero growing up. The second one. So I actually have a piece about him.
Yeah,
Yeah, like my dream is to like go to Australia one day and like visit the zoo he was a part of and like meet his family and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, and then the main one I'd love to really collaborate with is National Geographic. I am
Oh,
a huge Nat Geo fan. I grew up watching, buying they have like kids magazines. I have
right.
like all the issues up until one point. It's like a mix of like media, pop culture, everything. So I think we
Yeah,
like a full circle
I think
moment.
I had a couple of them too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are kind of full circle moments to maybe write for them, so do some kind of show collaboration, maybe narrate something. I think that was
Yeah.
fun. Because I was actually thinking the other day and it hit me, and I think that is like end goals kind of vibes. Like I'm
Yeah.
definitely 500% putting that out in the universe. Yeah.
But I mean,
Um,
Steve Irwin has passed, but maybe you could collaborate with his son.
that'll be epic. That would
Yeah.
be epic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be trying to his whole family for the carrying on his legacy. I think
Yeah.
there's even if I meet them, I feel like if I grew up with her,
Yeah, 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 for sure.
it's
Because the
so
other day,
weird.
he had a shoot and he got a little
Yeah,
sexy on the shoot, and everybody was like, "Whoa, whoa,
yeah.
whoa,
The
whoa,
comments was
whoa."
like, I feel so wrong because there's like they remember him as like a kid or a baby.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because we grew up with
Yeah,
him, so why are you behaving in this way, sir? You are a child.
yeah. It's so crazy to see like how they've grown up and like I think the sister's like married and she's like a baby. Well, not even a baby, like baby, like 5 or 6 now.
Yeah,
It's so cool to see like the expansion,
yeah.
of who they are. And I think like every year they have this thing called like the Steve Irwin Gala, which they host in his honor. I like to go to that as well.
Okay.
And it's like all these conservationists from around the world come together. I think that'll be epic. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I see with the direction of Kingdom Ibis, you wanting to get more into conservation and all of that good stuff. That might open a door for you that it may not
Yeah.
have if you just decided like Ibis is just a brand. That's
Yeah,
all it
for sure.
is. We
Yeah.
actually don't care about those ibis. We don't care about them like that, and we just using their image and likeness on fans and umbrellas and all this cute
Yeah.
stuff, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
definitely diving into that might open those doors for you, and I would
For
suggest
sure.
just look for opportunities to get more involved, you know.
For sure, definitely. Yeah.
No, as always, had to ask this question. For the youths, for the youths listening and the youths who might encounter your work in the future,
Hmm.
what advice do you have that you could tell them something meaningful you would want to some advice that you'd give them, especially for the youths who they want to pursue like more creative pursuits, more unorthodox
Hmm.
pursuits. What would you tell them?
Go for it. One, two, surround yourself with like-minded people. Um, cause yeah, there's a balance between being giving somebody advice and then straight out telling them no. Like I don't know how to word it, but I know people always like looking out for somebody and telling them, hey, maybe do that. But I think there's also like a in between place where you could healthily allow them to explore
Yeah.
something and let them. not crash and burn, but let them experience it properly before you just shut it down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of time with the youth, they probably get the ideas get shut down before, and then if it's somebody that they really respect, they wouldn't even pursue it, you know.
Right.
And recently, you probably saw like recently, I got to go to like some schools for career day, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
Now it's funny, it's so ironic because I was joke that I still figuring it out myself.
Yeah.
But that's what I tell them as well. They always like, I was telling them, like, surround yourself with creative people. I always give them like my Instagram and tell them if they want to shoot a creative idea and they have nobody
Yeah.
to voice it to, they can shoot it to me. I'll always
Right.
hype them up and keep it
Yeah.
real too, but hype them up. I think
Yeah.
we need that. You know, we definitely need people who tell you believe their dreams are possible, their dreams are valid. Um, because if not, then sometimes you might feel like you don't really have anything to live for without telling to depressing. Um,
Correct.
but you need people to validate your ideas, even though they keep it real with you, still show you like a way in which you could healthily explore that
Yeah.
option. You know, so I definitely want that for other. I'm definitely passionate about that.
Cool. Is it that can you tell us if you're entrepreneur full time? Like, are you working on your brand Kingdom Ibis like on a full time basis, or is that like a part time thing and you're
Just give me
working
one
outside of
second.
that?
I'm still here. I just got my charger. I'm still talking.
Okay.
Okay. Mm. But I do it not full time anymore, but full time in my heart. you know, full time in my heart, but realistically, as an adult, I'm like trying to explore how to be more stable.
Right.
Right? But yeah, exercise just in like balance and all of that.
Okay.
But
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
yeah, ideally, yeah, I have like a 8 to 4 tutor, and then my tutor from 6 to 8, and then every other hour that has room, I am a creative. I feel like I'm a creative 24/7 because it's like you don't switch it off. You know, it's something you don't necessarily switch
True.
off. Yeah.
Very, very true. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the floor for some questions. So if you all have questions for Keeron, um, based on anything that we mentioned, based on things we may not have been mentioned, but you're curious about, just don't ask the man for his bank account number and thing. He just said that he trying to be stable, so he cannot make donations into random bank accounts, right?
Unless they want to deposit, I'm all for that.
But if
You
you
know,
want to deposit, yeah, if you want to deposit, by all
that's where the
means,
money resides.
yeah. Shoot him a message on Instagram, and
Yeah.
and he'll be happy to receive whatever you have to offer. But drop some comments or questions if you have questions or comments. Um, Drop it and we will have Kieran answer them. Yeah. I have three bonus questions, right? Fun questions.
Very
So
nice.
now tell me what is your spirit animal, but it
Ooh,
cannot be
okay.
the ibis. No, 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 no. It can't be the ibis. Um, so if it's not the ibis, take the ibis out of the equation. Name your spirit animal and why that animal is your spirit animal.
I love this question so much. Um, it's a hard question though. It's not the ibis. It is my tongue so random to people, but I love zebras.
Zebras.
Yeah, it's probably like super random to people, but I really like
Okay.
zebras. I think they're so cool. Um, and like fun fact, boring neat fact, like no two zebras have the same stripe pattern. So
Yeah.
I think that is so cool, even though they look the same. I like so much about them. And like when they're chasing predators, whether they know this one when they're chasing running from predators, whether they know this or not, the black and white amalgamation tends to confuse predators. Like if they run in a herd,
Mm-hmm.
the predators can't really tell where one black stripe ends or another begins. It's kind of like a
Right.
tactic. So, I mean, they still get eaten at the end, which is sad, but I mean, a little bit they confuse. Yeah, but I really love them, and I also really love owls, which might seem really People are creeped out by owls for some reason.
I feel
I
like the
love
owls is
them.
more understandable. A lot of people say their spirit animals are owls.
Yeah, I love owls. There's
But
one time
why?
I was asleep a time and an owl flew into the house. I was so mad that I missed it. Like apparently everybody was like freaking out, but I was like, why didn't wake me up?
Oh my
I was,
gosh.
'cause we used to have like a forest behind my house where they cut it down, and then like all the animals found our house.
What window you have big enough for a owl to fly in?
I don't know, but I
You don't
just think
have
owls are
burglar
so.
proof at this point. That's crazy. A big owl, like a standard size owl?
I believe, yeah. I
Nah,
just think
man.
owls are like so cool. They always look like so wise.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I just feel like owls are epic. Yeah, I like to see them like hunting and stuff like that, and all those nature documentaries, like the snowy owl, the barn owl. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. And I have another one because nobody has asked a question yet, so I will ask mine. Um, what is one word or phrase you want people to associate with your legacy?
Ooh. Um, I would say I don't want to say unique because that sounds cliche. So I would say innovative also sounds cliche. Maybe like a groundbreaker, you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I released the kite, the Scott Ibis kite, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think anybody ever did that before.
Right.
So I like to do groundbreaking things, you
Right.
know? So I think that would be cool. Um, or Ali commented, oh, big up, you know, I think groundbreaking probably, or groundbreaker, or something like that, because I definitely have so much boosted. I have like some new ideas that I get, and like what's happening is
Yeah.
that I have like shiny object syndrome. So like if I get a new idea, I push
Yeah.
aside my other ideas. I was like, sorry, I love all this, but I have a new love now, you know. And I have like a list of ideas, and I just keep like repeating them. I have a next idea could be really cool.
Yeah.
But I need to see how the other two ideas before it goes through, and I think it'll be a natural progression. So as a little hint, um, it's like the demographic of schools. So I think it'll be really cool.
So
Yeah.
you given hints and I still have no idea what it could possibly be. I have to wait until it release so that I can be sure and certain of what it is. I cannot guess. I can't guess.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Right? Remember guys, as we winding down here, Keeron, the floor is open for you all to ask Keeron some questions or tell Keeron nice things. Um, Ali says, I wish to say that when I first started back on Olive, he was one that always took the time to give me love. Oh,
Oh, oh,
so
that's so
cute.
sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate you, Ali. You're such a sweet, lovely person. I appreciate that.
Um,
You're always supporting everybody. I love that.
she is. She's always making sure that where she always engaging with other people's work all the time. So that's what's
That's
up.
me where I buy my clothes. When I have money, I shop on ASOS.
And when you don't have money,
I
Rattans,
just when I
don't
have
fit.
money, I screenshot the things on ASOS and then say I'll buy it when I get money, and then by that time I get money, it'll be out of stock.
Crazy.
So no, but recently I started buying some other. I found some nice little local places, you know. They have the little sale, like from Arima. So, you know, sometimes I go up Arima. You know, the
Yeah.
Lord might can shoot on a rack by the window. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Lord might say that shoot at your name on it here. Yeah,
Hey,
I
hey,
just
this
walk.
is not a dating app. Eh? Let let's move on to the last question. The last question is, right? Um, this one's serious. Give it serious thought. Unless it's easy, then I'd be surprised.
Okay.
So you're stranded on an island, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're stranded on an island, and you can only bring three things: one book, one album, and one Trini dish. What would those three things be?
Yeah. At first I was gonna leave my dog, but then I realized my dog not in the option. So
No.
the book would have to be Island Queen by Vanessa Riley because I started it and I feel like if I'm on an island by myself I'll get to finish it because I am the book is not the problem. I am the problem, right? I'm trying to start like thing where like a review book.
Right.
I need to finish this book. So I feel like if I'm on an island and I have nothing, distracting me, I would finish the book. So that'd be the first one. Album would be I was gonna say like something like John Legend, but then if I'm on an island by myself, that wouldn't be good because all these songs are like love songs. So I don't know what I would do somewhere. Um, that's not a good combo.
Mm-mm.
Maybe like Pentatonic. That'd be a vibe,
Okay.
Pentatonic.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
or like
cool.
Michael Bublé. Yeah. I don't know. I like real music. Play music. I don't know if anybody knows. I don't know if it makes sense. I'm trying to call ones that people. I like Florence and the Machine, like Imagine Dragons,
No,
John
but this
Legend.
is this is about you on the island. Don't think about what we would think or if we know the artist.
Okay,
You
well,
gonna have to
I would
listen
listen
to this
to yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. Okay,
until you get rescued.
Ceremonials by Florence and the Machine. That's kind of answer.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right, man. We know Florence anyway. You
yeah,
think
yeah,
so
yeah,
little of us that you didn't think we would know who Florence and the Machine is. That's crazy.
yeah.
Do I actively listen to Florence and the Machine? No, but I know who they are.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would love to see them live. They're really good.
And
Yeah.
and the Trini dish. What would the Trini dish be?
Rooty.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something good,
first of
man.
all, I'm a poor my butter root kind of thing. Oh, that might be good because every time I eat it, I'll just knock out. But then I wouldn't get to
Yeah.
finish the book. So I don't know. We
But
gotta figure it out. But definitely
no.
roti.
Roti might not be a good option because if you're sleeping, you're gonna miss the opportunity to flag down planes and boats passing by.
True, true, true. Maybe like bacon fish, bacon kingfish or something. Like a Maracas kind of vibe.
You mean bacon
You
chop?
know. Yeah, but I don't really eat shark, so I buy the kingfish. So
Okay.
yeah. So maybe that. But then I'll get fed up after. I know this is a hard question because I love food, right? So this is
One dish,
real
Keeron, that you could see yourself eating on the island by yourself. One.
food is real hard, boy.
It's not.
Um, this is I had to take like a whole interview for this question. Guys, join us next time. I feel like okay, final answer, Ruthie, final
Roti.
answer.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, we deal with the
Um,
repercussions after.
yeah, you deal with it after. If you had to sleep, you had to sleep, you know.
Yeah,
Now when I see now we have any questions here or any more comments. So I think this is a good place for us to wrap up the interview. I had a good time. You have a very magnetic spirit about you. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with Kingdom Ibis moving forward. I
yeah.
think you owe me like three postcards now. You know, yeah. Not because I didn't make myself available, but because either they sell out or whatever the case is, it run out,
That's so
whatever the
true.
case
That's
is.
so true. That's so
Right?
true. Don't
So
worry, we go fix that.
we have to fix that. We have to fix that for sure. But I wanna congratulate you on getting this far and give you good energy moving forward with your journey. Thank you for making yourself available on this Labor Day and everybody who tuned in. Thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah,
You know, you all could have
big up,
been
big up
lounging
everybody.
on the couch today because it's a
Yeah,
holiday. But you all
yeah,
decided, no, we're gonna be here and spend a little bit of time with Danica and Kieran. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, Kieran, of course I'm going to be interacting with you pretty soon, maybe next week. I see this person, Black Catty, just joined. Catty, we're logging off now. So I'm just gonna say thank you everybody for coming through. Look forward to the next live, which is this Saturday. And am I this Saturday? Saturday is the 21st. I am this Saturday. I think I'm the next person to be interviewed. We're gonna see how that go. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how we doing it.
AI version of yourself.
Yeah. That might
You
be fun.
interview yourself, yeah.
Yeah, that might be fun. So
Yeah, no,
yeah, take
but
care,
big up
everybody.
Danica. Yeah, this was really fun.
Thanks again. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your holidays.
Bye.
Bye bye.